Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ottawa Book Expo. I'm your host, Santosh Chris. With me here today is Kumudini, who has written her first book, Who Stole Mother's Soul? A heartbreaking and triumphant story of one woman's journey as she navigates her life in her motherland, Sri Lanka, and in Canada, while finding herself and eventually finding a way to forgive her mother. Welcome to the Ottawa Book Expo show, and glad to have you here.
Thank you, Santosh. Thank you for your introduction. My name is Kumudini Nicholas. However, I have published my first book under a pseudonym, which is R.E. Siliente, which I have created using the word resilient because it reflects the actual character in the book. So thank you so much for having me.
No problem. It's our pleasure. Thank you for being with us. And Kumudini, can you please tell us about your inspiration to write your first novel?
Sure, Santosh. This is how it started. This book, first of all, is a fictional memoir, which is based on my life. So in 2016, while living in Ottawa, the news arrived about the passing of my mother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no matter how old your parents are, the death of one or both would always be unexpected and heartbreaking.
Yes.
In this case, when mother passed away at 93, her death devastated me because I could not travel to Sri Lanka to see her for the last time. But most of all, I was filled with deep regret for not trying to resolve the many issues and conflicts I had over many decades. So mother's death inspired me to write this book. The writing was cathartic, and I found peace after forgiving my mother for the pain she inflicted throughout our lives together. Writing the story of our relationship and its consequences was the only outlet I could find to console myself. So in the end, I realized that my mother has given me an opportunity to become an author, and I'm very grateful for that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You've taken your grief and made something creative from it. And this way you can honor your mother's soul and forever with your book. That I find that very, very inspiring. You know, it's like a final gift you've given back. And
Yes.
So tell us, how you've been in Sri Lanka and Canada. So tell us, how was your childhood like growing up in Sri Lanka and the cultural differences you faced moving to Canada and how it's like made you into the woman you are today?
Yes. So as a child, I grew up in all girls boarding school.
Oh, okay.
So I saw the natural world with mixed society only when I was a teenager while attending the university in Sri Lanka.
Mm-hmm.
There, I faced many difficulties as I did not know how to communicate with men. But that difficulty paled in comparison to what I had to go through after migrating to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Migration was not my decision. In fact, it was forced on me as I was expected to support my husband to pursue his postgraduate studies.
Mm-hmm.
For that, I had to give up a career as a chemistry lecturer in a university in Sri Lanka and leave behind my infant son for over 2 years.
Oh.
After arriving in Nova Scotia in 1980, that's when we came to Canada, the difficulties I faced to fit into Canadian society are unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. The systemic and racial discrimination prevented me from finding employment even after completing postgraduate studies at Dalhousie University. I believe years later, moving from Nova Scotia to Ottawa changed that situation because Ottawa is more accommodating once a person exhibits what one could offer to the society. Through them all, I became a strong, educated, and financially independent woman who now finds time to write, travel, and enjoy gardening, and most of all, keep on reading. So that's what my childhood and who I am today.
That's amazing. So that's you went through so many changes, but you were able to kind of retain yourself and like able to kind of like use your childhood growing in Sri Lanka and of course combine it with Canada and become like a very successful person who's written her first book, which is quite an accomplishment as well. So
That's
congrats
why
on that journey. Yes.
Thank you, Santosh. That is why I used the word resilient to create that name.
That is
I
true.
needed that.
That's true. That's true. And that's a good pen name you've given yourself. It's very true to your character. And Kumudini, so how has your career as a scientist influenced your style of writing? And has that helped your creativity in storytelling in any way?
Yes, so yes and no. Being
Mm-hmm.
a scientist in Canada enabled me to improve my knowledge in English. And that indirectly helped me to write what I know. Also, as a scientist, I seem to incorporate analytical points of view into my stories. So that's the science part of it, I guess. But in general, I seem to have a unique style of writing. In school, I can recall my teacher selecting the stories I wrote and read and discuss in class. I believe I am a natural storyteller. I used to create bedtime stories for my young son, who suddenly, who suddenly started to tell me stories of his own back to me. So I believe I might have inspired his young mind. So, but now I'm a career scientist first and a storyteller second.
But you've managed to beautifully balance the two. So, science is, of course, very important. But of course, the storytelling aspect is also important. The arts are also very equally important, I think. So you're able to balance both, which is a unique gift you have.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate for saying that.
No problem. And I guess your son is also like learning to become a storyteller himself. And maybe he'll write his own book someday, huh?
I'm hoping so, but he's
Yeah.
a scientist as well, so I don't know how far he will go to tell his stories, but I do believe he has that capacity.
That's very good, and that's I'm glad that also the school was encouraged you to write more because they were like sharing your stories, and
Yes.
that's definitely a very important part of our life. The early encouragement.
Yes, that nudged me to continue to write. That's very true.
That's true. So what is the main message you would like your readers to learn from your story, like overall?
Yes, so there are a few, but I'll give you the main ones. So the main message is that one should always believe in oneself and never give up hopes to realize one's dreams. So that's the main message. I also want the reader to understand that when it comes to your parents, since we do not know really what drives that person to do good or bad, we should be kind in the face of all that affects us. And in the end, forgive those who inflicted pain and horror in your life, because that will help you to find peace for yourself. So those are the main messages I imparted in that storyline.
That's very good. Yes, you're absolutely right, because we don't know what our parents had to go through, especially in the past, to survive. And today we have all this technology. We're lucky we know the news around us, but definitely our parents, they didn't have that luxury. So they did their best to raise us. And yeah.
And I must say that in writing this book, I've tried to find the answer to the question, the title of the book, Who Stole Mother's Soul? So the spoiler alert a little bit, the big reveal only comes at the end of the last chapter.
Okay.
The answer to the question.
That's good. That way the reader will read till the very end. That's a very good tip for any aspiring writers out there.
Yes.
So, Kumudini, so how was your overall relationship with your parents? And you can share your fondest memories with each of them, your father and your mother?
Certainly. So for the most part, since I was 9 years old, I lived with my parents only during school holidays because I was boarded. So those times were pleasant because my father was my protector when my mother created situations to hurt my feelings. But as an adult, I managed to have a cordial relationship with both of them. But I always looked up to my father and I try to avoid confrontations with mother. My fondest memories as a young girl were taking long walks with my father. During those walks, what he did was he imparted his wisdom to help me to develop a fruitful life. and I truly appreciate that. Sadly, I do not have any memorable moments with my mother that I could cherish. But I love her even still, because she was my mother. But I cannot pinpoint and say these were the great moments that I spent with my mother, unfortunately.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm sure like wherever your mother is, her spirit, is able to like appreciate what you've done and the wonderful human you've become. And of course, your father, a lot of credit goes to your father, who was able to like give you like positive encouragement, which is very important. And I think that has helped you become a successful scientist and now on your way to becoming a successful author as well. So I'm very glad. The father's love is very overlooked. Everybody goes about the mother's love a lot, in the media.
Yes.
And I'm so happy that you shared that because.
Yeah, he was my rock.
Oh.
Whenever I try to fall apart, he picked me up and pushed me over to the right direction. So yeah, I'm very grateful.
That's wonderful. And in a way, your mother also like she tested your own resilience, maybe. So in her own way, she was making you stronger, right?
Thank you, Santosh, for bringing that in that light. But
Yes.
maybe she did indirectly. Maybe she wanted me to be strong because she was a very strong woman. So maybe she wanted me to be that way, to face anything in the world.
That's
and
good.
I did. Yeah. Well, that's very nice of you to have a positive spin on it.
Thank you. That's the least I can do. But yeah, the balance of parenting is so important. And as a parent yourself, I'm sure you've learned a lot through that journey.
I did.
That's good. So so tell us, please, where can people find your book? Where can they order it? Can they? Tell us where they can get it.
Currently, anyone who wants to have a paperback, I can give that for a cheaper price because I have already paid the taxes and delivery charges and everything. So it will be the cheapest way to buy a paperback is through me. And if anyone wants to write to me, they can write to me to my Hotmail address, which is madinican@hotmail.com, or even call me at 613-841-8496. But if you don't want to have a paper copy from me, or if you want an ebook, then they can visit my website, which is www.whostolmothersoul.com. There are several options, including Amazon and other electronic format platforms. And you can also buy a hard copy or a paperback directly from the publisher through my website. So there are options if they want to have a copy.
That's very good. Thank you so much. That way the viewers can purchase the book, and I guess you can also autograph it for them, like if they order it from you.
Certainly.
Yes.
So far I have done that, and people seem to like it. So yeah.
Yes, that's wonderful. And any closing thoughts or any future dream projects you'd like to discuss here, like anything coming up?
Yes. First of all, I would like to thank you, Santosh, and the Ottawa Food Expo for
You're welcome.
Giving me the option of for publicity of this book, and also Sri Lanka High Commission, who gave me that information about your organization. This is my first book, so promotion is very critical, I believe, because without the established authors' point of view, it is critical. So thank you for that. I'm currently working on my second book, and I'm happy to say that I'm halfway through it. It also mixes facts and fiction, and it embodies eternal love through rebirth, while examining the negative effects of autism spectrum on a woman's life. So I'm hoping to complete this project, say, within a year or so. Finally, I would like to say, with this publicity, I'm hoping that there will be new readers to join those who have read the book that I wrote. And I'm very happy to say that I have inspired some new writers in Ottawa after
Oh,
they read my book. Yes, they
that's
want to
good.
write their own life story, and they were asking me questions how to start, and so I'm just giving a little bit of pointers how they can do that. So yes, at least three people already have started writing their story. So
Wow.
yeah,
Ah, maybe we'll be interviewing them next and they'll say you are one of their inspirations. That's
I
good.
hope so. I
It's
hope
good.
so.
You're passing
Yeah,
forward the love that you got from your father, especially as he supported you, or you're passing that forward. You're passing the
yeah.
torch. That's
Yeah,
good. That's good.
it took me 3.5 years to write my first book, but
Okay.
that's because I work full time. So I wrote during my breaks and weekends. But people who are at home, they can do it fast. I'm sure if they have everything collected, the information together, and it will be not that bad. So you can write it fast.
That's good.
So that and thank you so much, Santosh. You are very kind and
Oh, no problem.
gave me the option to prepare for my presentation today, and I look forward to seeing you at the expo.
Yes, yes. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the expo as well. And I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of people interested in your book, especially maybe from the Sri Lankan community, because you are really connected with them, right? Because they probably might share the same cultural upbringing. So definitely book will be a
That's
big
true.
thing for
But
them. Yeah.
those who read, the majority of the people who read are not Sri Lankan of origin,
Oh,
and they were surprised how I let them go to Sri Lanka by describing certain places in detail.
ah,
And they said that it's as if that they went there when they
ah,
read my book. So anybody can enjoy the book. If there are things that everybody can enjoy in this book, other than
I'm
this.
I'm very glad to hear that. That's good that you're giving people who have never been to Sri Lanka like a real look at their life.
Correct.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kumudini, for joining us today. And yeah, looking forward to your book. And of course, people can contact you. We'll be leaving a link to your website and, of course, your email and your phone number as well, so that people can contact you or order your book online. And yeah, thanks so much. Thanks everyone who joined us today for the Ottawa Book Expo. And yeah, looking forward to more interviewing more authors and inspiring more people. Thank you.
Thank you.